Recording in progress. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Nerds of the North podcast, episode number 19. Today, we're going to be discussing the newest episode of What If from Disney Plus, and we'll also probably just kind of scatter in some random topics because, quite frankly, What If is super fun to watch, but not exactly something that is worthy of ton of discussion, especially the hour to 2 hour rants that we tend to go on. So, but as always, I'm host number one, Matt, and joining me today, as always, is host number two,
Nick. I wanted to draw that out to make it really awkward, but I don't think you're gonna let me do it.
But yeah, what do you think of the newest episode of What If? I think we were discussing a little bit before we started recording, but like they've all seemed very solid to me, and this episode's no different.
Yeah, it was serviceable. I don't have any strong opinions about it either way. I enjoyed it while I was watching it, but honestly, I haven't really thought about it too much since then, which isn't a huge endorsement for what I've watched. But it was fine, and I liked it and enjoyed it, and yeah, I mean, to be honest, like I'm not really super excited to spend more time in the phase 1 films.
Sure.
And this one pretty much focused entirely on that. But I still enjoyed it for what it was, but it wasn't something I was eager to revisit. And it had very it felt like The Watchmen in a way, like when it was like these heroes were dying and they were trying to figure out why they were dying or who was killing them.
Actually, yeah, it's a really good comparison, just like narratively what was going on. I know that I mean, I'm enjoying these look backs, or like this look back into these stories, and seeing a different take, because I guess it did just occur to me that we do know that the zombie episode is coming, and I suppose, spoiler alert, the entire like original cast of Avengers die in this episode.
Well,
being
Captain America,
I guess technically, but that is if this is all a connected narrative, then it's Peggy. But we did see that there was, or like Nick Fury came upon a frozen Captain America shield versus
I'm pretty sure this is set in a different like universe, a multiversal branch than the Peggy Carter one.
So Steve Rogers could very well be alive in this universe, or in this multiverse branch, as you put it. I think it's a good way to put it, different branches. But then, yeah, the Peggy one's different. This one, where the Avengers minus Steve are all dead, and
Captain Marvel is still present.
Captain Marvel is not only present, she is very, very early to the party compared to when she came out in the MCU films, which definitely is going to be interesting, because she's a big power player.
Yeah, she's pretty strong.
But but yeah, no, I mean, I did really like the take of Hank Pym, like doing something a little bit more interesting outside of just being the crotchety old inventor.
Yeah,
like him seeking out vengeance on Shield for their supposed hand in the death of his daughter.
Spoilers.
Yeah. I mean, if you're here listening to this, what are you doing? If you haven't seen the episode.
Yeah. But, yeah, for sure. For some reason your video has frozen on my side, and I don't know. You should try and stop sharing and then reshare real fast and see what happens.
Sure.
Sharing your video.
should be good. Okay, so we'll try. There's a webcam utility. Huh?
Yeah, webcam utility. That's what I'm seeing as well. Interesting. There we go. Now I see you.
Cool. There we go.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like the Hulk had a pretty gruesome death as well. I wasn't really expecting that. No. Sorry.
Stay away from that food here. But yeah, no, like I thought he had the worst death out of all of them, freaking having his heart enlarged.
Yeah, I
like
didn't think
exploding inside him.
I was with Betty Ross. I didn't think he could die. So but apparently he did.
Got to have more creative ways of killing Hulk, clearly.
Yeah. He
Does it
just
mean-
expanded into green goo.
Yeah, like yeah, I was really surprised that they I mean, I've never even thought about that way of killing Hulk, you know, because all the ways I've ever, I guess, seen of Hulk dying is generally him getting killed as Banner, you know, before Hulk becomes a problem, you know. Yeah, but in this circumstance, he was just like, nope, I'm just going to explode your heart from the inside out.
Yeah, it reminds me of that one meme when Infinity War came out, where it was like,
oh yeah,
about you remember this?
Yeah.
Like, why doesn't Ant-Man just crawl up into Thanos' butthole
Just-
and then just expand? And like,
shit. Mhm.
I think Paul Rudd actually got asked that question, where he talked about it. I think it was on Conan. And I mean, it's a damn good question, but I think honestly, I think probably if that happened, like if Ant-Man was able to do that,
Mhm.
somehow the strength of like of Thanos's exterior or his like inner organs would be so strong that Ant-Man would just be crushed inside of him.
Right. But that
Should
same
be-
logic would almost seem to apply to like this Hulk situation too, right? Like, I guess it was Hulk's own heart expanding inside him. So maybe that's what the trick was.
Can you imagine how gruesome that would be though? Like just like exploded inside Thanos and like all his probably like tissue and blood and everything would probably be like draining out of Thanos.
I mean, seems like a small price to pay to save the universe. but your point is noted.
No one thought that's how that film would end, but
lo and behold.
I mean, maybe it would kill him though. Let's just be honest, because like if Ant-Man can grow super large,
Mhm,
like really big, like into that giant man that he can become, like could Thanos
mhm.
possibly crush that entire huge person inside his frame?
I don't know. I mean, then you're getting into questions of like which Marvel delightfully dances around of like actually putting a cap on someone's powers, you know. It's always delightfully vague to make sure that like there can always be a villain who can be too much to handle in the future, or there could be a weakness to be gone are the days of, you know, like your Superman with kryptonite weaknesses. You know, Spider-Man doesn't have like a weakness, you know, or I guess Iron Man running out of batteries like would be his weakness. But like,
I mean,
short
I
of
do
that-
think because I mean, if Ant-Man could potentially crawl into everyone's buttholes, like he would be the strongest fighter or hero on Earth.
See, it's, I mean, you're not wrong. I do wonder about why specifically it was his butthole, because there are other orifices in which, like, crawling into his ear and expanding,
Well, I mean,
surely, like,
he could probably just crawl into any pore on his body, but
yeah, like,
but
there are certainly less gruesome ways of entry, right? Like,
yeah, but I think the butthole has a certain sort of beauty to it
tell me more.
because like let's say he goes into like a core on your face or your arm, like that. Who knows, like once you're inside the body, how to get to the center, but once you go up that particular spot, like you can make your way straight to the center.
Well, I don't know. I'm thinking more of like you just crawl into his ear, you know, like expand and just like
Yeah, but
just-
I mean, but if you're getting into someone's ear, that person can just go like, but if you go like into the butt, then it's like, well, is he gonna take his pants off, right?
I mean, I suppose, but like how desperately would he have to like shove his finger into his ear to like fish out Ant-Man? And would that same finger be the finger
But
he used to shove up his butthole?
I don't think he would. I don't think Ant-Man would make it far enough to actually get into his ear. I
I
think
mean,
he
if
would be
he-
able to swat him away before that. But if he's if he's down below, like your nerves aren't as sensitive down there probably. Like, and you probably like, oh yeah, just who knows what's going on down there. And but up here, like you're like, but if down below,
I don't know. I mean,
anything could
if-
happen down there. Like I could, if I had something crawling on me right now, I would know. But if I'm like in the heat of battle and someone's like crawling up my back, like I'm not gonna know. But if someone's like on my ear during that, I'd probably still be able to tell.
This battle of semantics is fascinating. But trying to think, all the other characters in the episode died in what seemed like very like borderline pedestrian ways. Except for Barton, like something like they don't really specify. Like Black Widow got the shit kicked out of her.
Yeah.
Hulk exploded. Thor got shot by Clint's arrow into the heart. And Tony got like poisoned more or less. Or I guess not poisoned, but like he entered his body and killed him in some way. So I guess both like Clint and Tony just kind of died because he was in them. Didn't really specify how.
So yeah, so I mean that plays in what I'm saying too. I mean,
Mhm.
so if someone's gonna inject you, like that's one thing, but if there's no injection coming, clearly the best spot would be the butthole.
Oh,
But yeah, if there's a straight up injection coming in, then yes, get in the injection.
yeah, see, I don't know. I'm still very skeptical about the butthole argument. I think it's a solid strategy regardless, but I do think that there are equally devastating ways of getting into and exploding from inside someone that wouldn't involve crawling up their anus. It's not big on dignity. Effective, yes, clearly.
I mean,
We saw what
there's-
happened in Endgame.
Yeah, there's plenty of
We all
holes on the
know.
human body, Matt. Like we can get into that if you want. But yeah, your screen froze again. I don't know why.
I mean,
Right now
everything's-
you're like on my screen. You're like,
everything's normal on my end. I don't know what's going on with yours, because you're moving normally and like my video feed's not changing at all. But let me try something.
you did something last time that made it work.
The only thing.
Oh, come here. Come here. Come here. Come here.
Wait, that's right, cable, right? There it goes.
I pushed his
Okay.
little thing up. Now he looks like he has like a. Okay.
Hi, hero. Would you good boy?
Look at his eyes. He's like, oh, what is going on?
Like, what is happening right now?
Yeah.
But But I did think it was kind of cool that in this version of reality that Asgard came to wreck ship and ultimately did by means of Loki essentially taking over the whole planet. Him working with Nick Fury was very interesting.
Yeah, yeah, with Loki and everything
Mhm.
being there. Yeah,
But yeah, I would say that I think it was like a shocking episode only because like literally the whole original cast of the Avengers died, but in like pretty seemingly gruesome ways. But I will say that like its emotional impact on me definitely was way less than like the last episode, for example, with T'Challa being Star-Lord. Like this episode definitely was just kind of it felt a lot more like the first episode in that it was kind of a that happened type of episode. Like it's the possibility of things that can possibly take place within the realms of this show. But you are right though, like that chapter or the chapter of like the original films has, kind of come and gone, and now we're entering into these new phases. And we've already said goodbye to at least three of these characters now. And so like just seeing them again was fun, but I don't think it necessarily had the same impact as that second episode.
yeah, but I mean that second one was going to be hard to top. I mean, thankfully, because we don't want anyone else to pass away. But yeah, that second episode I thought was just really good all around. That was a really good episode. Apparently, here, man, I'm sorry. Stop it. Yeah, this what's turning into? What are you turning into? Yeah, I mean, and the next one's supposed to be even better with Doctor Strange. Actually, it's supposed to be like
Mhm.
the writers of the show say it's the best of the season. So
I mean, I'll be very interested to see what they do.
yeah,
Because yeah, you mentioned that last time too, that they're people are saying that this is going to be the best episode.
yeah, has a lot of emotional resonance apparently.
And
If I'm saying that word right.
yeah. That does actually remind me too. Yeah, like speaking of Doctor Strange, that new trailer for the new
Spider-Man
Spider-Man movie,
Far From No, it's nope.
No Way Home.
I was like Far From Home, Homecoming. Nope. Yeah.
Yeah, no, like that trailer really. I mean, just in the last episode of the podcast, we were talking about multiverse and crossovers and stuff, and what's going on with
Mhm.
the Spider-Man movies. I think I specifically brought up Spider-Verse, and you were like, "Oh, that trailer though," and
What did you think of
holy
it?
shit.
What did you think of it, Matt? Since
I mean,
you
I
watched
guess
it now.
if you're worried about trailer spoilers,
I mean, that trailer
one
has
pause.
had more views than any other trailer ever at this
Mhm.
point. So
Well, I mean, the fact that we are like it's all but confirmed that we're getting the original actors for the Green Goblin and for Doc Ock from the Sam Raimi trilogy of Spider-Man movies, which is incredible for a number of reasons. Um, I think Spider-Man 2 was the like textbook example of like what the MCU would turn into eventually. It had just a really good arc for all the characters. It was a well-rounded movie, and the villain of the movie was definitely someone that was complex and not necessarily just like a baddie of the week. And like I think most people I know of agree that like out of the three Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, like Spider-Man 2 kind of takes the cake in terms of how good it is. on a personal note, I've been rewatching Spider-Man 3 from that trilogy, and holy dumpster fire, that's been so much fun just pointing out all the stupid bullshit in that movie.
Yeah, I remember when that came out and it was like everyone was so excited for that film. And then, but it did birth a lot of memes,
Hmm.
specifically of emo
Yep,
Tobey
dancing emo
Maguire.
Parker. But specifically with this trailer, yeah, I thought it was really cool. Like we got to see kind of the reasoning behind like Doctor Strange's appearance in the movie, and like the yeah, I know that initially that we had been hearing rumors about who was going to be in this movie, and that we might be seeing Andrew Garfield or Tobey Maguire, as well as the other actors. I know Willem Dafoe played Green Goblin. I always forget the name of the Doc Ock actor.
Alfred
Uh,
Molina.
Wilfred Molina. There you go.
And then also,
Like,
we know that Jamie Foxx is going to be back as Electro.
which that's, I mean, who were Andrew Garfield's two baddies that he dealt with? It
Uh,
was
the
it
trailer
was
also, you can see the lizard in it.
oh, can you? Okay, so they bring two baddies from each
Well, and
series
then it's pretty
at
much,
least.
well, so it's going to be the Sinister Six, right? So we also
Yeah.
saw some sand in the trailer, which
Ooh, so
Sandman's
Flamingo will
going to
be
be in
back.
it. And also, we know the last one too. When I don't, if you don't want to be spoiled, I
I
can
mean,
refrain. But
Sinister Six. Venom is generally not a member of the Sinister Six, right?
I don't think so.
No.
And this
So,
character's from a previous film as well.
oh, so
But
it'd have to be Vulture, right?
no, he's not from the or the cinematic universe that we know. So he's from one of the other two.
Oh, Rhino. It has to be Rhino, right? Like we never saw anything of like. Plus,
Yeah.
he's canonically. I don't know a ton about the Sinister Six, to be fair, but I do know that Rhino tends to be a member of that Rat Pack.
Paul Giamatti is coming back.
See, that's. I think this is the coolest implementation of like all these characters of just the Spider Verse, I guess, not the film, but just the franchise of movies that all include Spider-Man that Sony and Marvel has done now. Like this is all culminating into this really cool moment where we get to have a really cool homage to these movies that came before. Because I don't know, like those are movies of a different time, right? Like the I think the original Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy is generally pretty good, but going back and watching some of it, it is really funny. Like to this day, we've talked about this on the podcast before, but trying to pass off Tobey Maguire as a fucking high school student is just hysterical to me. Like, are you kidding me? Like, and then
Yeah.
even in Spider-Man 3, like there are these scenes that really just don't make any sense to me. Like to me, it's more of an indictment on Sam Raimi's part than anything, because there's this scene where Peter's sitting in a college classroom, like, just showing that, hey, I'm still in college. He's doing like that intro monologue you always do in those movies.
Mhm.
And someone in the back of the classroom like shoots a spitball at the back of Peter's head. I'm like, is Sam Raimi under the impression that like schoolyard bullying is still going on the college level? Like I'm sure that like that's still happening to some degree, but like in the classroom, really? Like
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe, who knows? Maybe he's just such a loser. You know, us
don't get me
cool
wrong.
kids have to make a point every once in a while about our position, show off our muscles, show off to the girls.
Oh yeah, girls
Yep.
love bullies, right?
Yep.
But But yeah, like I just thought it's so funny how dated the movie is in a lot of ways, and how a little more on the nose it is with its storytelling.
That movie seriously must have come out. I'm gonna guess 2006.
Spider-Man 3?
That's gonna be my guess.
Oh man, you're actually not far off. It was 2007.
Oh man. Oh shoot. Actually, I'm surprised. That's surprising to me for some reason.
But yeah, the fact that and then also like regarding the Andrew Garfield movies, I'm actually like I liked those movies. I was not a fan of what they did with the Green Goblin storyline, or like with Harry in general in Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Well, there's probably a reason he's not coming back.
Yeah, I just really don't like I just don't know what they were thinking with that character in that movie. And along that same vein, like I am not exactly Jamie Foxx is a fantastic actor. I just think that he was given a real shit role to play in Amazing Spider-Man 2. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of looking forward to an MCU glow up of that character.
Redemption.
Yeah. I mean, Alfred Molina has very little to redeem in his portrayal of Doc Ock. Like, I think that was a really good. He was a fantastic villain in that movie.
That reminds me of I was watching someone today, and I thought they made a good point about William Dafoe. That like so Paul Rudd basically he never ages. He's looked like he's been in his 20s since the 1990s. You know, he hasn't really changed that much. And it's kind of the same with William Dafoe, except the opposite of that. William Dafoe looks like he's been like 65 since he's
Yeah.
been like 20. So he's like looks exactly the same as he did, you know, back in the day.
I think
Just
of
'cause
him from
he's
like
old looking.
Boondocks.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he just looks exactly the same, right?
Yeah. He's a very interesting looking man.
Yeah, I mean, he's a strange looking man, I think.
Yeah.
Because nothing was more shocking and grotesque to me than Willem Dafoe in Aquaman. Like, what the fuck was he doing in that movie? Like,
Oh yeah, I forgot he was in that.
he was
He's
so
like the messenger
weird.
or something.
He just like underwater Willem Dafoe with fake CG hair. Like, what could go wrong? Said movie executives. Literally everything. Everything went wrong.
Have you seen The Lighthouse?
I have not.
He is great in that movie. I don't know if it's really your style though.
Oh, what's that supposed to mean?
It's pretty far out. I'll say that much. Yeah.
I mean, I don't mind far out movies. Just needs
Well,
to
you
not
should
be.
try. I think it's on Amazon Prime.
Just needs to be. Oh, it's on Prime. Then I
think
have no
so.
reason not to.
Yeah. Your video froze again, by the way, but
Video froze again? Really?
Yeah.
I don't know what's causing that. There's literally.
It might be my computer. It's hard to say.
Yeah, because like my connection should be. Start video settings. Maybe I can do this.
There, I see you.
Original ratio. Adjust for low light. Sure. You could really doll me up here with the touch up my appearance, you know.
Give you the Barbra Streisand look.
Ooh.
Have you seen someone like she just has so much light on her? Well, she used to. I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
No, not Barbra Streisand. I don't know why I said Barbra Streisand. Barbara Walters. Is that right?
Barbara Walters.
She's like a. Oh man.
Walters.
Yes, Barbara Walters. Yes.
1929. Dear God.
Anyway, yeah, Barbara
Old.
Walters. Her lighting can be kind of. It could be kind of crazy sometimes. Just the amount of lighting they use to like. I think hide some of her aging. Anyway.
That's too funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, honestly, I think we've had more to say about this trailer than we did What If. Like,
Well, I mean,
What
the
If
trailer's
was
pretty crazy, especially with Alfred Molina
yeah, I mean
making a
him
very
showing up,
CGI cameo.
like him showing up, and then I'm sure you've probably seen some of the discussion about, like, I know that the thumbnail I've generally seen for that trailer has Peter standing, like Tom Holland standing with his back to the camera, but he's looking at something, and there's a car behind him with a female passenger
Yeah.
in it. And how apparently that female passenger is CG'd in, like she's not actually there.
No, I didn't know that. Why? Why is that relevant?
Well, what that means is that they superimpose that woman on top of who's actually there in the back of the car.
Oh, so it's
Yeah.
like it's like a secret who's in the back of the car. Yeah.
So it's kind of believed that it might be one of the other Spider Boys, either Toby or Andrew. And
Yeah.
or I don't know. I've also been wondering. I haven't heard anything about this, and it could be very unlikely. But I don't know. I mean, I would also be on board for a Mary Jane Watson appearance. What's her face from the original?
Kirsten Dunst.
Yeah, Kirsten Dunst to come back. Like,
yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's been rumors that she will be in it.
Like, I think that'd be pretty interesting, because being that I'm a really big fan of the PS4 Spider-Man game.
Yeah.
It, like, that version of Spider-Man that you play as is definitely kind of, he's very much like the Spider-Man that ultimately ends up dying early on in the movie of Spider-Verse. You know, like he's the Spider-Man, right? Like kind of the best version of himself. And so it's very interesting thinking that, like, in this movie, like, Tobey Maguire is going to fit that role. Like, out of all of the Spider-Men in this movie, he's the one that we've known about for the longest. And so I have this cool idea in my mind of, like, how they're gonna kind of make Tobey Maguire a bit of a badass in this movie. I'm kind of excited for that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how they'll play it. I think there's been basically entire plot leaks, and I think I've read them, but I completely forgot. So.
Yeah, see, I don't want to do that to myself, only because I want to see it and be surprised. Because
yeah, this movie, for whatever reason, has had a lot of leaks.
It's because it's Tom Holland. It's always Tom Holland.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, usually they keep it together for usually until at least a month beforehand. But yeah, it's probably, you know what? It's probably Sony's involvement, I would assume, because Marvel usually has a tighter ship. But I don't know. Like, they've actually had quite a few leaks recently with like the Eternals plot getting leaked almost entirely. And I don't think there's been anything like crazy. I mean, well, okay, first off, I do want to talk about this because it popped in my head and I don't want to forget it. But there's several things about the trailer too that many people are actually thinking that Doctor Strange seemed off in it, and that he is actually an evil Doctor Strange. Because the new What If coming out on Wednesday this week is actually about a dark Doctor Strange.
Ooh, okay.
And why he was kind of acting the way he was in that trailer, which is sort of out of character for him, at least so far what we've seen of him, right?
Sure.
So, and man, oh, and also that Charlie Cox who played Daredevil appeared
Mhm.
in that trailer, like as the other guy in the office when Peter was brought in there, when they were talking about his essentially his court case.
Sure.
Which I don't know. I'm not 100. I don't know about that because that guy seemed a little bit chubbier than Charlie Cox. But um, I don't know. Just some random theories people were throwing out. The
Mhm.
one I wanted to talk about was that apparently in Doctor Strange, the new Doctor Strange movie coming out, Multiverse of Madness, Wanda is going to be the villain in it, and she's going to be fighting Professor X from the Fox universe in it.
Interesting. I mean, what would I mean? Like, I get Wanda being evil because she's kind of, gone cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs a little bit with losing vision, creating a whole town for her own devices, that whole thing.
And
But
now she's using the Darkhold, which corrupts her mind. So
yeah, but I do wonder about what Xavier's uh, hand in that would be, or even like how he'd. I mean, I guess he is a very powerful telepath, so I guess like maybe he could stand up to her. I don't know, but
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't even know if I think the plot has been pretty well kept hidden on that one.
I mean that's a very interesting idea, and I think that could be that would be that would be a surprising way to introduce the X-Men to me. But if they are going to be using, well, they probably wouldn't be using Patrick Stewart, would they? They probably would be using the younger actor, yes,
Yeah.
or
McAvoy,
James
whatever.
McAvoy.
There
Yeah,
we
James
go.
McAvoy. There you go.
Yeah.
Which I'm not opposed to either of them. I just have a certain fondness for Patrick Stewart, but
Yeah. I kind of would prefer it to be James just because, and we're on first name basis with each other.
of course.
And mostly because I don't want to try and pronounce his last name again. Just because then they could potentially cross him over because I think Patrick Stewart, I mean, I think he's in his 80s by now. So I don't know if they could really use him in the franchise too often after this, but they could obviously with James McAvoy.
McAvoy.
I can't say these Celtic last names. McAvoy.
McAvoy.
Yeah. Anyway, that's some random leakage stuff that people have been talking about.
Hey, would you mind pausing the video for me, sir?
Now.
Recording in progress. All right, we're picking up again here, and we're going to finish off the episode talking about a somewhat weird topic that we've talked about a little bit on the podcast before, but there is a video game coming out that's very much like a Smash Bros. Clone called Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl that's being released, and there's a lot of non-ironic hype around this game coming out because of the people who are making the game. They have a lot of experience in making platform fighters with a lot of character, and they've been given just what seems to be like full send privileges to kind of just put whoever they want in this game. As you can kind of see from the roster that we've already seen little snippets of, like a couple of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Michelangelo and Leonardo, Nigel Thornberry, SpongeBob, Powdered Toast Man. The list goes on of like all these beloved Nickelodeon characters. And so that's all very exciting by itself, but we're getting more and more reveals of who else is going to be in this game. And the newest reveal, as Nick informed me of today, is Cat Dog and April O'Neil. So Cat Dog from the the show of the same name, from back in the like, geez, I guess that would just been early 2000s. Um, and then April O'Neil, again, another Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles rep. I think it's pretty obvious that if you have two of the turtles, clearly all four are going to be in the game at some point. But they also have April as a playable character, playing apparently. So, Nick, do you have any strong opinions on this game, the roster, who you want to see in the game? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty excited about Cat Dog, I guess, as far as excited goes. But yeah, I mean, I I I enjoyed Cat Dog when I was younger, so and I would have to imagine I guess they would probably have a pretty interesting move set.
Mhm.
As far as who I would want to see in it, ooh, that's an interesting question. I guess Crumb and Ickis from All Real
Yeah.
Monsters. I think Ickis could have a pretty cool move set just because he expands.
Mhm.
And Crumb with his eyeballs and his like, I don't know, he's like a little naked
Yeah, I was
guy.
gonna say that weird little naked body of his. Dear God.
Yeah, that'd be pretty funny. Ren and Stimpy, if they should probably have them. Doug, I gotta think is probably I don't know,
Ooh.
since Disney seems to have the Doug IP these days, it doesn't seem
Oh,
like
really?
Doug.
Oh.
Well, because they even made a movie way back when. I don't know if they still make stuff with Doug, but
Mhm.
I don't
I'll
know.
see. Because I wouldn't go for a Doug. Well, it would be Doug, but it would be Coil Man. That would be kind of
Oh
fun.
yeah, yeah, you're right. That would be the way
Like
to go with that.
that'd be super funny.
Um, Probably they can fit in some baby characters. But it does seem weird to have a baby in the game. But I mean, you're gonna like beat up a baby. baby.
Yeah, right.
Um, on that side note, I did watch the new on Paramount Plus. They have like a new Rugrats show. It's all CGI. It wasn't terrible, but also I didn't really appreciate that they made Susie into like Tommy's age because she was like Angelica's age in the original. I just didn't appreciate it as a fan of the original.
Yeah, that is interesting. I wonder why they did that.
They also made Phil and Lil's mother. She's divorced and she is now a lesbian, which is
I
fine. I
mean,
mean,
like, she kind of had a little bit of that vibe, if not like a little tongue in
yeah,
cheek back in the day. But
yeah. It's whatever. I haven't I couldn't watch past the first one. I mean, it's made for kids, obviously, but seeing them
mhm,
create like a pretty well put together program.
mhm.
Um, and then they have Helga, right? So who else could they include from Hey Arnold?
Isn't there Gerald?
Stoop Kid
Gerald.
somehow.
Well, and Arnold.
Arnold.
I think Arnold's grandfather would be a really funny addition.
Yeah, I'm like trying to think of weird, unique characters from that show that would make a good like fighter, or at least unique fighter. There's
Shoot,
like
there is.
Birdman,
Yeah.
the Pigeon Man.
Yeah, the Pigeon Man. Holy crap. Yeah,
Uh,
who else would they even put? I mean, like,
yeah,
yeah, man, I'm really trying to think. Oh, there wasn't there like that baseball player from the Hey Arnold show. He had like the restaurant.
yeah, I don't
Like
remember.
it's like a
Probably.
there's like a baseball diamond slash restaurant type thing. And yeah, he like only because he has a bat. Like that seems like that could be a pretty easy.
Yeah, my favorite episode of Hey Arnold was always that one where they found like that empty like field and
Mhm.
like remade it into like this like nice like baseball field. I just always really like that one for some reason.
I think that might have been that episode actually. Yeah,
Yeah,
because like it's like a famous baseball player, or not like a real famous baseball player, as far as I'm
yeah.
aware. But
I'm thinking so. There's Rocco's Modern Life. They could include some of those characters.
trying to think of any shows, yeah, they haven't pulled from yet. I mean, there's plenty of them.
Cat Dog, Fairly Odd Parents, Invader Zim. Did they already say they're going to include Zim or Gur or something? Probably.
Zim is in the game. for sure. And I think Gur is like part of like his character.
Okay. Angry Beavers. They could do something with them.
Oh, dude, that would be perfect. Like either
Yeah.
one of them. Like they could be like an ice climber type character.
Man, I haven't seen that show in forever. I wonder if that's on Paramount Plus. I'm not gonna look it up, but I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Because I might actually put that on because I always really like that show. What was it? Norbert and some.
Norbert and shoot.
Yeah.
I want to say it's like a D name, but
Daggett.
Daggett, Daggett, Daggett,
It sounds
Daggett,
like a
Norbert
slur or
Daggett.
something. I think it's Daggett though, isn't it? That sounds right.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's see, because they have Rugrats. I mean, I guess they do have a Rugrats rep right now with Reptar.
Yeah, I mean that kind of makes sense. You don't really truly want to beat up a baby. Oh, they could put Stump.
Stump.
Yeah, from Angry Beavers, remember?
I don't remember.
Yeah, he's just like he was like the from like Ed and Eddie, he was like Plank or whatever. He was like the coolest. I'm like looking at some of the other ones right now. We have some things I don't even recognize. The Kablam. I could do something from Kablam.
Oh yeah, here we go. Yeah, I guess the one that's like coming to my mind.
Rocket
right off-
Power.
Oh, Rocket Power would be good.
Yeah.
Like
Little
any of
Bill,
those
I somehow
characters.
think that one's not gonna make it.
Little Bill.
Jimmy Neutron.
Oh yeah, they have a whole bunch of characters from Jimmy Neutron they could do. They could even do like the little purple action figure that what's his face carries around.
Oh man, the Brothers Garcia. I haven't thought about that show in years.
See, I'm also thinking Vlad Masters from Danny Phantom. He's like the villain in that show.
Yeah, I never watched that one. I think it was just a little bit past my.
Yeah, it was. I remember really liking this show. I liked Danny Phantom a lot when I was a kid. Like that was a really cool. I think it just had like fun characters, and the animation was really good. But
My Life as a Teenage Robot.
oh, that seems like an easy pick. Like now that you mention it, like
That's weird because I think the show ran for 6 years and I don't remember it very well at all.
yeah, because it's Jenny, right? Jenny's the name of the robot, if I recall.
Probably. Yep, Jenny Wakeman,
Mhm.
XJ9.
Yeah, XJ9. Yeah.
Yep.
What else could they do? I mean, there's so many possibilities, but I mean, what's cool about this game is that it's made by people who are passionate about the genre and who clearly have some knowledge and fandom going on of old Nickelodeon that like can really carry forward. And like they could be picking characters out of that huge, because it's a huge catalog, and be able to include them either in the base roster or be able to up the roster with possible like DLC packs, like the way Nintendo does. Like, there's just so many possibilities with this game, and if it ends up being good, like I'll be really happy that there's competition for Smash Bros. But also just really vehemently annoyed that Nintendo can't get their shit together, because Smash Ultimate like is a really good game. Don't get me wrong, but the online functionality that Nintendo offers is just it's a decade behind. Like, and that might be
Even like a little bit, even a decade behind. Like I think the Xbox had a better online experience than the Switch does.
for sure. Like, yeah, the Xbox 360 had an infinitely better online experience. I mean, like being able to play Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 with like basically zero lag back in the day. I can't load up a game of Smash Bros online without being inundated with lag and like input. It's miserable. It makes it not very fun to play. And because you have to depend on other people for internet quality, and some people are playing on McDonald's Wi-Fi, man. So you just don't really know.
Yeah, I
But
mean, I do. I have a McDonald's right outside, and I just use their Wi-Fi. It's a lot cheaper.
just all the time, yeah. But yeah, like I just I think I've been having a lot of thoughts like this regarding Nintendo, specifically with Pokemon for a while, because there was a lot of grief from, I think, like valid grief from people with Sword and Shield regarding, like there was a whole Dexit like argument about how like not all the Pokemon were going to be in the game, when it first came out, and that we are going to have to be paying, to have the additional Pokemon put in. And like that wasn't the part that bothered me so much. I figured at one point, like, there's so many Pokemon. Like, of course, like it's gonna be very unwieldy, and to put them all into one game, they're gonna make us pay for it. And, like, that just seemed like more of an inevitable thing than a like hypothetical. Um, it's just the lack of polish and quality in some of the graphics and just the animations. Like most of the animations, from my understanding of things from Sword and Shield, mind you, a console release of a Pokemon game, most of those animations are from like straight out of Sun and Moon from the 3DS. And most of the models are ripped straight from the Sun and Moon title as well. It's like they just put zero effort in to these games anymore. And they're going to make $1 billion regardless, but it's just really annoying as a fan of the series how like the animation just hasn't improved in quality in forever.
Yeah, and I know obviously Game Freak has a big part of that, and
Mhm,
and I don't think Nintendo fully owns Pokemon like some of their other IPs. So
mhm.
I think they generally have a little less control over it. Or
Right.
it's not really an excuse, but I mean, you look at some of Nintendo's games where they actually produce in-house. I don't really know if I wouldn't get that same criticism towards them as far it's. I think that's a Pokemon thing, though. I'm a
Yeah.
little bit like I'm sure this new Metroid game coming out. I think it's called Metroid Fear or something like that. Metroid Dread.
Dread. Yeah. Dread.
Um, the graphics on that are kind of disappointing as well. But I think in a
Yeah.
way, like a lot of these games, you know, before the Switch came out, these would have gone to like the DS,
Hmm.
and it just makes me wonder, like, well, maybe that's why the graphics, like, they're more geared towards a mobile gaming experience rather than like
Hmm.
the console gaming experience. And I think that's kind of the same for that game. And I think it's kind of the same for the Pokemon games they keep putting out. Because I mean,
Hmm.
if you compare like the new Pokemon game versus like Breath of the Wild, which you knew Breath of the Wild that's a console game right there, not a handheld
Hmm.
game. Like there's just no comparison. Well, there is, and it's not a good one.
Yeah.
So
Well, and like, I don't know, at that same line, there's another Pokemon game coming out in the form of,
is it like
Legends,
Arceus
yeah,
Legends or something?
Arceus.
Arceus.
And like that game straight up looks like it's being run on a potato. Like it looks
Mhm.
terrible. Like it makes the whole like tree argument from Sword and Shield, like people were so upset about how bad the trees looked in Sword and Shield, which I think at first I thought it was a bit of a nitpicky gripe, but upon playing it more, like for sure I think is so dumb that they can't even get shrubbery correct. But Arceus takes it to a whole new level. That game, like the models look great, but like it looks like something that a fan whipped up in their spare time in a game engine they have access to. Like,
Yeah, I'm still a little bitter about what they did to, well, what they didn't do with Animal Crossing too, because they had promised 2 years worth of content for that game, and basically they just stopped giving it content, which
mhm.
to me is really depressing. Because I could, if they kept on putting out content for that, I would have kept playing, but I stopped playing a long time ago just because there wasn't
Well,
enough to do anymore.
yeah. Well, and not only was we've discussed this, I think, off the podcast, but yeah, like the gameplay loop in Animal Crossing, you get to a certain point where it's just so punishing on your time. Like you're trying to get art for your museum and you have to wait for this fox fuck to show up in your town. If and when he shows up on a particular day where you can play, and if he doesn't have repeats of shit you already have, and if he happens to have something that's not a forgery, which can also happen, like how
The
many more?
majority of the stuff he sells are forgeries, to be honest with you.
Yeah. And so, like, you have this
Usually.
huge museum that you want to fill with pieces of art. Like, it's a large number of pieces. And, like, you have 3 levels of RNG holding you back from possibly even getting just one item because you can only buy one thing at a time from his shop. Like, why? That's so punishingly hard. Like, I don't even blame people for doing the time travel shit in Animal Crossing because
Well, the thing
why?
about that, you're right, because he only shows up, at least when I was playing, he only shows up once every 2 weeks typically.
Mm-hmm,
And it actually can be longer than that because of the way it's like set up.
mm-hmm.
Like, or maybe it's just every 2 weeks. But yeah, it's pretty frustrating because you're right. Like it's not, he always has, I think, 4 pieces of art. I think usually one is legitimate,
Mm-hmm.
but that's not always true either, because I think there's one time he actually had 3 legitimate things, and what I did is I created 2 extra characters so I could go buy it
Yeah,
all.
just to get it right.
um,
Like,
but I'm wondering, like, maybe they don't do it partly to encourage social play, maybe, but I still don't really care for that. Like, it's still, like you said, it bugs me. I did complete. I mean, the fossils are relatively easy to complete.
mm-hmm,
Um, I got all the bugs and I got all the fish for what it's worth, but I did not
mm-hmm.
get all the paintings and all the artwork, which would have been fun. I did get the
Yeah,
naked lady statue, which was the one I mostly wanted.
that's the win right there. Yeah, no, I mean that's a big reason why I stopped playing because like it essentially turned into like playing the turnip game. Like you'd buy turnips on, or I would buy turnips on Sunday, and then I'd wait for a day where hopefully I would cash out and be able to get a lot of money, pay off another house loan, something like that, and then be trying to afford art along the way when red would show up. But yeah, like I think a big part of it is the social aspect of it, but Nintendo's online functionality again is just so garbage to where like I never felt inclined to do that. Like
Well, it's
your
because they want
town,
you to get like friend codes.
which is just the most outdated fucking way of
Yeah.
online play ever. Like,
Yeah, it doesn't really make sense because I mean, if they're trying to protect kids, they're driving kids onto online forums that might be unsafe to get these codes.
dude, I legitimately I was subbed to a whole ass subreddit that was just the turnip exchange for being able to like either buy or sell. Like you could let people come to your town to buy turnips if they were good prices, or you could let people come to your town to sell turnips if the price was really good for that day. And which like it was either a very wholesome experience or uber toxic, depending on who it was, you know?
I honestly think Animal Crossing, if Nintendo really invested time and energy into like continually giving it more content,
Mhm.
that game could be like massive, just
Oh yeah.
huge. like way bigger than it is. I think if they like actually like invested time and energy into it and just didn't let it die off like they did, I think it could be honestly, I think it could be like a new social network.
Yeah.
So people making their own towns and inviting people over and like
Mhm.
I don't know. I think it could be just huge.
I think you're totally right. Like, and I think the problem too is part of it is a problem of Nintendo's own making, and that is like outside of the things we've already discussed, like online and stuff, and just how prohibitively annoying it is to sometimes just play the fucking game. But um, guaranteeing content for a game for 2 years that you don't have to pay a dime for, like you paid $60 for Animal Crossing up front, and then you get 2 years worth of content out of that. And like, even if it's done at a drip feed, that's a long time. Like, that's kind of crazy, right? Like, that's a long time. $60 like is, you know, pennies to most people over the course of 2 years. And so it's if they
I mean,
had just
if they had like been like, hey, $20 and we'll give you a crap ton more content, I probably would have done it.
yeah, I mean, I don't know, like
I mean,
I
I would have
don't
done it. Let's just be honest.
yeah, like I don't think Destiny is exactly the greatest example of this, but it is a comparison of how like generally once a year there's a big expansion that you pay between $40 and $60 for, and then there are season passes that you can pay individually if you don't want to pay for like the big expansion. So you either pay 40 to 60 at once and you get all the season passes for like that year essentially, or you can pay like 10 to 15 bucks or whatever for the little bits of content that come along the way. It's like 10 to $15 every 3 months is really not that bad, like to pay for. And even if they had done something just as basic as that, uh, would have kept people engaged and would have kept them paying, which like
Mhm.
they're a business. Like I really like Nintendo and their games, but they do also seem to make decisions for themselves that actively work against them sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm trying to even think like they have barely put out any content for the last 2 years that isn't like a remake of stuff they've done before.
Oh yeah.
Like their big release this year, I think, was Skyward Sword, right?
Yep, which I'm still fucking bitter about. The fact that we didn't get anything else for the 35th anniversary of Zelda or Donkey Kong for that matter.
Like what else? What else have they put out this year? I mean, I can't even think.
Does Dread come out this year?
I
Metroid
think in
Dread?
October.
Like, so that'll be the next big thing. But outside of that, it's been
Which
oh,
is
the remake of Diamond and Pearl, I guess. Um,
another
Pokemon Diamond
remake.
and Pearl, but another remake, yeah.
Yeah, it's
And
so weird because I mean, when you think about before when they had the DS and their console, whatever was around at that point, or Game Boy Advance and whatever console, I think that probably GameCube then.
sure,
But like they were producing content for two systems. Now they're down to one system, but I swear they're producing less content than ever.
yeah, and I think part of that for the past year, like the elephant in the room, obviously, is COVID. Like, and I get that. Like, some businesses handled it better than others. You know, another Destiny example is that Bungie, the company that owns and makes content for Destiny, they were well equipped or better equipped, I think, than most companies to begin working from home and working remotely to keep things going for the game. How or why they were that well prepared, I don't know. But that was just the nature of it, is that they were pretty well prepared. Whereas, like, it seemed like every other game company I know of really did get caught with their pants down. And not being able to work remote was a huge issue right off the bat. And I'm sure Nintendo was no different in that regard. So I get that things were getting pushed back, but yeah, you're right. Like Nintendo generally doesn't push out a ton of titles in any given year, though. Usually, like I feel like at most they put out like 4 or 5 titles. Yeah, army crawling. Which charger? Oh, computer charger. Yeah, I could have grabbed that for you. Bye, wife. Good night. um, but yeah, man, I would have to look up an actual release calendar of like their console releases because I think that would be the only like fair comparison. Because you are right, they were doing mobile platforms in addition to console releases at some point, and it's only been very recently they're
I
not
mean, I
doing that.
just they haven't had like a triple A title come out for a long time.
Hmm.
I mean, I think
Well, let's.
Animal Crossing was probably, I don't even know if they'd consider that triple A title. It definitely became one, but that was probably their last huge title that came out, right?
Let's see here.
'Cause I would
So,
consider their triple A titles would definitely be Zelda, like main Mario games, Mario Kart, which I haven't released a new one of those in forever, but it still makes a crap ton of money. Super Smash Brothers, probably Pokemon, and I don't know if you would consider Animal Crossing that, and I bet they would now, but
well, and they really had a very special thing on their hands with Animal Crossing, and I think they flubbed it hard because that game came out at a time where like people really needed something like that, and it had a huge player base, like way bigger than any other Animal Crossing game has ever had, and how many of those people actively actually play Animal Crossing anymore? You and I think, are people that could be described as more like Animal Crossing diehards, and we don't play it anymore.
well, I mean, and at the same time, it's like I got so many hours of play out of that game. It's
Mhm.
almost hard to criticize it in a way because I did play it a lot.
Sure.
And also like I played it for like 8, 9 months. Hell, I mean, I played it for at least a year to get all the fish, and
Right.
I don't usually play games that much. So
Mhm.
they did something right with that game, but I just think they could have. I mean, they could have basically like what you're saying had like a Destiny level title,
Mhm.
or people continue to keep on playing and investing more money into it for like people that don't usually play video games, but they
Right.
uh they didn't. They just kind of let it die.
I'm not gonna lie to you. This 2020 release calendar I'm seeing of like notable releases for the Switch is really sad. Uh, the first thing on the list that like even I think pings my radar personally is the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon game that came out.
Oh, Pokemon Snap came out. I still haven't played
Yeah.
that, but
Oh yeah, Pokemon Snap. That Pokemon Snap is actually really excellent, if I'm entirely honest. Um, but yeah, it's Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, Animal Crossing, and then they had Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. So this was a remake,
this
but
is 2020, right?
yeah, this is 2020. There are games in between here I'm not listing because I don't think anyone cares. Um, like I don't think Jump Rope Challenge is something that I would call a notable release. Um, there was the SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated, which was a remaster, I believe, of that game. Paper Mario, however, Paper Mario the Origami King, that was a bigger release. Then Super Mario 3D All Stars, again, a remake. Pikmin 3 Deluxe, remake.
I did get Pikmin 3.
And then Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. and that was the last game they put out in 2020. Or
Yeah, I
no,
mean, half those are practically remakes, right?
and the other games like Dr. Kawashima's Brain Training for Nintendo Switch, Tokyo Mirage Sessions FE Encore. Good job, the video game. I don't know what this is. Clubhouse Games, 51 Worldwide Classics, Jump Rope Challenge, Shakedown Hawaii, NBA 2K21, and Tropico 6 Nintendo Switch Edition, and Just Dance 2021. Like,
Mhm.
so I guess for comparison's sake, we should look at like 2019, I guess. So notable releases in 2019. New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe. That's a remake. Kirby's Epic Yarn. That was new. Yoshi's Crafted World. That was also new. Did they really? Yeah, I guess they added the NES like library of games to the Switch Online functionality in 2019. Super Mario Maker 2 came out that year. Fire Emblem Three Houses, Astral Chain, Daemon X Machina. That's a game I actually do still want to play. Link's Awakening came out that year.
Remake though.
Dragon Quest, yep, remake. Dragon Quest 11, yeah. Ring Fit Adventure, Luigi's Mansion 3, Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games Tokyo 2020. Boy, that's a bit of an egg on the face, isn't it?
It's not their fault, but
And then Pokemon Sword and Shield. So
I mean,
really,
yeah, 2019 was a much better year for them for sure.
yeah, only just barely though. Like again, there were more original releases, but like to be fair, like Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe was just a reskin, not even a reskin. It was just a re-release of the new Super Mario Bros. U on the Wii U, released on the Switch. And it's
Yeah.
just like, yeah, they have not had a great track record of releasing that many new and unique games. And I don't know if it's just that Nintendo doesn't have like a great pipeline for this, or if they just rely.
I don't know what their issue is, but yeah, they just kind of seem like they've almost ran out of ideas.
I don't know. I mean, like yeah, Pokemon notwithstanding, like clearly they have the Mario franchise, they have the Zelda franchise, Donkey Kong, um, Mario Kart, Mario Party. I refuse to buy the new Mario Party though.
Super Smash Brothers.
Yeah, Super Smash Brothers, like, because I was so excited about Mario Party, like that last.
Are they making a new one?
Yeah, they're making another one after they just fucking dumped the last one. They put that game out and then didn't do anything with it. It got an update like super recently, and all it did was like add online functionality, which it didn't have at release. Like, you've got to be kidding me, right? Like, you're releasing games in the year of our Lord 2019 moving forward without online play. Like, get the fuck out of here.
I don't understand.
So I don't know. But yeah, that's what, like this new Mario Party game. I'm just like, I'm not gonna buy it. Fuck it. Like, I bought the last one with some expectation that we'd get more
Content.
Yeah, more content added to it, because I would gladly, Nintendo, take my money. Seriously. I paid $60 for this shit game up front, and I'm more than willing to pay an additional like $10 to $20 for like more maps, more mini games, more characters. Like,
They certainly have supported Super Smash Brothers well, but that game has a lot of attention online too. So
I am impressed with Smash Bros, because I don't really think we're ever going to get another Smash Bros games the likes of this again, or at least for a very
Yeah.
long time.
So that's what I'm always like, they keep topping themselves every time, and I'm like, well, the next game, like, how are they possibly ever going to top this? The one major issue I have with Smash in this version of it is like, I just feel like it needs a better one-player mode. Like,
Hmm.
like, uh, like when they released the one for I think
For the Wii.
the Wii U,
Hmm.
they had a, and they also was on mobile too. They had, or on the DS, I think they had a this one player game where you could like basically like in Kirby Air Ride, you just keep getting these power ups.
Hmm.
I love that. I love that style of play. This, I could waste so much time doing that, but
Right.
I really wish they would have included something similar to that in Smash Ultimate.
I mean, they kind of do. It's not nearly, it's definitely more narratively driven um than like that version of it, which is definitely more of like a mini game. Um but I don't know, like the Subspace Emissary from Brawl was a lot of fun. Like I thought that was a really cool like single player campaign that it introduced you to most of the characters.
That had like a
Um
legit storyline too. Like they put a
yeah,
lot of effort into that.
I thought it was really, and it was really well done. Like the cinematics for those,
Yeah.
like the cutscenes and everything were really cool.
Now they basically just put all that time and energy into making announcement videos for new characters.
Yeah, which I don't know. Like, I mean, I love the number of characters, but it is pretty crazy. Like, I think it's 88 characters in the game now.
Is that true? I thought it was like in the 50s. Is it truly 88?
It's way over 50 at this point. Yeah.
Wow, I kind of have to know now.
Yeah, I think it's 88. I know it's in the 80s for sure.
That is intense.
Mhm.
Seriously, that
Yeah,
is intense.
it's a lot of characters, right? And like I don't play most of them. Like and but hmm.
I'm just counting them.
But
Come on, 31. I'm at 45. I just got the Mewtwo. I'm at 60. 80.
This is riveting content.
87. Yeah, 87. I guess the last one will be 88. So
Yep. 88 characters in this fucking game. And like that's really impressive. It is a little ridiculous, but
yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. That's pretty sweet.
like
I
no
can't
other
even
fighting
imagine.
game.
Like the first Smash game, I think had 12 characters.
Yep. That was after unlocking 4 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I don't know, man. I love Nintendo for a lot of reasons, but I also just really despise some of their decisions sometimes.
Yeah, like they're just so set in their ways, and they are, and those ways happen to be really old fashioned. But it's crazy because they put out some like pretty innovative technology on a pretty regular basis.
Hmm.
At the same time, like they don't, like there's other things they just don't do. And it's weird how they just won't release their old games. They have like this gold mine they just sit on and just like let it waste away, and no one can play it unless you use an emulator. But
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't know.
or
Like,
I guess if you own the old systems, but you know, I who wants to yank out their old Wii or GameCube all the
yeah,
time, or
dude,
64 if it even works on your TV?
I would love to be able to play Twilight Princess HD and Wind Waker HD again. Like I've been having that itch again to like play through old Zelda games, but like it's either play through the Breath of the Wild again, or it's freaking yeah, plug in a GameCube to play Wind
Like
Waker
you can't even
or
play Ocarina of Time on Nintendo's premier like mobile game device.
Nope.
Oh,
Like
yeah, it's just
you can
crazy. I
you
mean,
have
you
to
can't. I mean,
own.
technically, you can't even buy Super Mario 64 because they let it expire after a few months. It's just so
Yep.
weird.
Yeah. What? Right. Yeah. Like why? Like I understand driving scarcity, to like make people want to like go out and buy it right now, but just, just let it sit there, just like every other game. Like people will keep buying it. There are some people who just like the like. Do you really think people are not going to buy Mario? Like
Yeah, I mean,
that's yeah, I
it's
don't get it.
weird. I don't get it either. They're very strange. But
Ugh, Jesus Christ.
yeah.
Well, well, I think that probably settles out most of our topics for this evening. Unless you have anything else you'd like to add on to the end here.
No.
Excellent. Well, cool. Well, want to thank everyone, as always, for joining us today for another riveting episode of the Nerds of the North podcast. Um, as always, Nick, it was a pleasure speaking with you about these topics. Looking forward to next week, have another episode of What If to discuss, as well as of what other shenanigans we decide to get up to and chat about. So, again, want to thank you all for joining us this evening, and I hope you all have a great week.
Peace out, mother. My bad.